Hare Krishna. Welcome all the viewers to our Gita Diploma course. This is Madhusudan Vishnu welcoming you all to day 6. We'll begin this session by chanting prayers to seek the blessings and mercy of the Supreme Lord and our spiritual teachers. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we welcome you all once again. Thank you so much for joining live with us and being on the journey of doing this course on Bhagavad Gita. We are doing a diploma course, which means we are going through the Bhagavad Gita, overviewing the different subjects that are described in Bhagavad Gita in different chapters. Today we'll start the chapter number 5. If you remember, in the second chapter, Lord Krishna told Arjuna about his identity, who he is. In chapter 3, then he explained about Arjuna's duty. In chapter 4, which we did yesterday, Lord Krishna mentioned about how to perform that duty, with what attitude should Arjuna engage in those duties. When you combine all these 3 chapters together, chapter 2 plus 3 plus 4, then it gives you a result. It gives you a particular type of consciousness and experience that is explained in chapter number 5. It basically gives you peace in your heart, an inner peace. So in the chapter yesterday, let us quickly look at what we discussed. In the chapter yesterday, we came to know about the history of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna mentioned that he had given this knowledge long time ago even to the sun god. So Arjuna made an inquiry that how come you are of my own age and you give this knowledge to the sun god? When did you give him this knowledge? When did you meet him? And then the Lord explained the difference between him and Arjuna, how he is the unborn who appears in different times at different places for the purpose of establishing dharma. Then further Lord Krishna mentioned that Krishna is the goal of all the different paths, and in order to help Arjuna understand the concept of nishkama karma, he explained karma, vikarma, akarma, and then mentioned how this knowledge can be obtained by performing sacrifices. If someone does not have time or ability to engage in those sacrifices, one can still cultivate this kind of knowledge by hearing from a spiritual master or spiritual teacher. At the end, Lord Krishna gave many examples glorifying transcendental knowledge. So that's where we stopped yesterday. Today, we'll dive into a new chapter, chapter number 5. It is quite short, just has 29 verses. But yes, it's deeper than before. So here comes our first question on screen for all of you to answer. What does the word karma mean? We have so far heard this word so many times. And nowadays, karma is such a common word. Even if you open an English dictionary, you'll find this word included there. Though it's not an English word, but still the word karma is included there. So what does the word karma mean? Let me tell you that it may have different meanings. So you can give us all those different meanings which are possible. It means action, yes, as some of you are answering. It means your duty, very true. Prescribed duty, very nice. What you do mentally, physically, etc. Thank you. I'm looking for one more answer which is not yet coming. There's something more. What is karma? Something more. Another meaning is there. All right. So it has various meanings. Now you understand that. So we'll look at all those meanings which are given in Bhagavad Gita. One meaning of word karma is action. It can be either good action or bad action. Then another meaning of karma is duty or prescribed duty. For Arjuna, his duty was to fight as he was a Kshatriya, so that was his karma. And another meaning of the word karma is reaction. Technically, it is called karma phala or the fruit of one's action, but still sometimes, in general sense, the same word is also used for reaction. Like you might have heard people say, if someone is going through bad days in life, then the friend might tell him, "No, come on, it's your own karma now. Tolerate it or bear it." So that word karma is being used to refer to reaction, what I am getting back in my life. So we understand that when Lord Krishna uses the word karma in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna may understand it differently than what Lord Krishna is trying to convey. That possibility is there. And that's what exactly happened in the last two verses of chapter number 4. Lord Krishna told Arjuna, Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchina sanshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadhananti dhananjaya. Yoga sanyasta karmanam. He said, Yoga sanyasta, by yoga, sanyasta means give up. What? Results of action. By yoga, you give up the results of action. That's what he wanted to tell to Arjuna. But here, Arjuna took a different meaning of the word karma. I would like you to guess. What meaning did Arjuna take for this word karma? What misinterpretation he took for this word when Krishna told, give up the results of your work, using the word karmanam, sorry. What meaning did he take? You'll be able to answer this question if you are flowing in the dialogue and you are able to understand Arjuna's, confusions in Bhagavad Gita at this point. So when Krishna says, give up your karmanam, what meaning does Arjuna take? Thank you. I got the right answer by one person. Very nice. Thank you. Abandon your duty of fighting. Abandon your karma. That's what Arjuna took. Give up your duty. And that's what he wanted to do actually. So, you hear what you like to hear. Or that's how you want to hear. So he thought by yoga, give up work. That's what Krishna is telling. Just in the next verse, to clarify that Arjuna should not take the wrong meaning, Lord Krishna told Arjuna, stand up and fight. Now Arjuna is confused. In 4.41, you tell me don't fight. In 4.42, you tell me fight. You are telling me two different things. That's again very confusing for me. So chapter 5, again he puts forth this request to Krishna. Sanyasam karmanam Krishna punayogam cha shangsasi yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. He says, first of all, you tell me to take sannyas, to give up all my work. And then again you tell me to fight. Why don't you please tell me one thing? Yat shreya etayorekam. Please tell me one thing. Ekam means one. Tanme bruhi sunishchitam. He's not losing patience, but at the same time, he's making it very evident that Krishna, just please think about it deeply, be thoughtful enough, and tell me one thing, just one thing. So here we see Arjuna is actually repeating the same request to Krishna again and again. In verse 5.1, there is a word which has come in the third line, Shreyaha. The same word was there in verse 2.7. The same word was there in verse 3.2. And the same word is there in verse 5.1. So basically in these three verses, Arjuna is asking the same thing to Krishna. Please tell me what is best for me. That's all he's asking. The word is Shreyaha. Long-term benefit, that's called Shreya. In long term, what is good for me? Let's dive into this topic a bit. There are two words, Sanskrit words, having opposite meanings. One is called Preyaha and the other is called Shreyaha. Preyaha means short-term goal and happiness. Shreyaha means long-term goal and happiness. To give an example, exams are coming, but the child or children are busy playing video games. So they are engaged in short-term happiness. This playing of game gives me so much joy. So let me just forget that there is exam tomorrow and let me play, let me have fun. Another situation, a child knows exam is there, has the option of playing, going out for watching a movie or whatever, but then gives up all those temptations and sits to study, preparing for the exam. So this child is focused because he is thinking about long-term happiness or long-term success. At the present moment, it might be a bit difficult to refrain oneself from all those activities which a child generally likes to do. But then he is doing that, sacrificing that for a future goal to be achieved. So that's Shreyaha. Now, when you talk about Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita helps us to achieve what? Preyaha or Shreyaha. Long term, short term. Goals, happiness, success. What should be our uh, the purpose of our studying Bhagavad Gita? Shreyaha or Preyaha? Shreya. Most of you are saying Shreya. Very true. It should be Shreya, but then we should know Shreya includes Preya, which means long-term benefits also do include short-term benefits. It doesn't mean that then you're deprived of short-term benefits. So to understand now this subject more clearly, let me give you the example with a story. We all like stories. So this story is about a desolate island, and this story is originally found in some Arabic folk tales. So the story goes in this way: once there was a king, very wealthy, had a prosperous kingdom, lots of servants. So he went out on a voyage, a ship voyage, and there were lots of ministers, servants who were traveling with him. While they were crossing the sea, a huge storm came, very heavy. It was thundering, raining, and somehow or other their ship it broke down. It could not stand the storm. It was a ship made of wood, and all of them they died except the king. He somehow they survived. So, taking hold of some wooden planks, he managed to swim to the shore. When he reached the shore, he was so exhausted and also so frustrated. He was blank, like, what will I be doing now? My ship is gone, destroyed. All my servants are dead. How will I ever go back? And I don't know where have I landed. What place is this? So while he was already so shocked and somehow they're trying to come out of that shock, resting on the beach, he saw a group of tribal people approaching him. They were ugly looking, had weird, symbols made on their body, and they also had arms, swords, tridents, spears in their hand, and they were rushing towards him. So first of all, he got panicked. Perhaps they are all coming to kill me. But when they approached near, he understood that they are happy. They are not angry, they are not afraid, they are quite happy. So he also relaxed a bit, and soon he found that they were actually celebrating. He was a bit amazed. So but he let everything happen in its flow. So all of them came close, and all of them started giving a lot of respect. Four people even brought a palanquin and made him sit in the palanquin. Soon he understood that actually they are all welcoming him like a very important guest. Just after a couple of hours, he was taken to a big open stadium kind of place, and he was made to sit on a huge elevated seat of respect. So this person understood that they are actually treating me as a very special, important, powerful personality. So he called the people who were close by, who seemed to be the ministers of this island, and asked them a question. What is exactly happening now? Because he did not understand their language. So they said, oh, you don't understand? Actually, you are our new king. And he said, what? Me? I'm a new king? He said, yes. So how come? I mean, you don't know me, you just met me, I'm a stranger to all of you, and you made me the king. So the minister said, okay, let me tell you our policy. Whoever lands in this island, because of shipwreck or whatever, we appoint that person as the king of our island. And the king was really, and on what basis? He said, no choice, no conditions, just anyone drops in. So the king said, okay, so I'm not the first person, right? He said, no, many had come in the past. So the king asked, okay, where are they now then? What happened to them? So this minister said, my dear king, let me tell you actually what you do. Anyone who comes to our island, we make him the king. But we don't make him the king forever. We just make him the king for 5 years. After that period of 5 years is over, then we send that person out of this island and we throw him away in a different island where no one lives. There are only wild animals there. You don't even get sufficient food to eat. And the king could imagine what would happen to such people. So the king asked, so they just die like that? And the minister said, yes, they just die. That's what we do. Now the king was quite in anxiety and worry that for 5 years you enjoy life like anything, and after that you are finished. He could not sleep. He was thinking how to come out of this situation now. So the next day, when he came back to the court, he called those ministers and said, so for 5 years, I'm your king, right? He said, yes. You all will do everything I say, right? He said, yes. So the king said, okay, so let's start. I want 50% of the citizens of this island, this kingdom, be transported to that island. And I also want 50% of you very intelligent, hardworking ministers to be transported there. And I want all of you to construct a new city there, make a new palace, make it a kingdom much better than this island. For 5 years, while the king ruled, he worked very hard to establish a nice city in that island. He did not even enjoy his life as a king here. He was working very, very hard. So that day came when he was actually thrown out of that kingdom, of that island. But now, when he reaches that island, he's not alone. He's there with the other half of his citizens who accepted him, welcomed him as a king again, and he continued to rule as long as he lived. Here, from this king, we learned a lesson. What was that lesson? That unlike the other kings who came in the past and who just enjoyed their life for 5 years and after that they died, this king, he, instead of looking for short term happiness, planned for and worked for long term happiness, right? That's why he was much more intelligent than the other kings. That's the difference between Shreya and Preya. Those are intelligent people. They always work for long-term success or happiness. Even if it requires to sacrifice short-term benefits, they are okay with that. Lesson for us, a truly intelligent person thinks of Shreya, not only Preya. Everyone wants happiness, but which happiness do we want? Transient or long term? So, coming back to the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, Lord Krishna said, Sannyasa karma yogascha. Arjun, you see, both are good for liberation. Either you work in the spirit of Nishkam karma or you give up your work. But for you, karma yoga is much better. Arjuna says, fine, you are asking me to work. How does work lead to liberation? I know sannyas leads to liberation. And Lord Krishna said, you don't hate or desire the results of your activities. That's what will lead to liberation. But then Arjuna said, but isn't sannyas better? People respect sannyasis so much. What do they get respect for then? And Krishna said, both are same, Arjuna. While working also you can be a sannyasi. Yes, I repeat, if you have not heard it properly, Krishna is telling while working also you can be a sannyasi. And Arjuna is like, how is that possible? So Krishna is explaining, instead of taking sannyas of karma, take sannyas in karma. Sannyas in karma means you give up the results of your work, understanding that anyway nothing belongs to you. This is not something difficult to comprehend. Actually, we are born with nothing, and when we die, we are again gone with nothing. We leave behind everything. So Krishna is telling, anyway, nothing belongs to you, Arjuna. So whatever work you perform, you give up the result of that work. Arjuna then says, well, Krishna, if nothing belongs to me, then my work or my duties also don't belong to me. Krishna said, don't be uh, don't be funny here now. Please try to understand it seriously. If you just take sannyas, which means giving up, that cannot make you happy. But if you do karma yoga, that can actually quickly unite you with the Supreme, and then you'll be very, very happy. This is a tough concept, but I'll not get into detail now. So then Arjuna says, but I don't understand, why should one work then? If if one is not having any material desires, sannyas is better. Why should one work? Why continue to work? And Lord Krishna then says, for the purification of heart, of all the selfishness it has. I am just touching upon this topic here now, but when we start chapter number 7, I'll explain a bit more in detail using a diagram what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna here. For the purification of heart of all the selfishness it has, a person should work. Arjuna is kind of understanding. So he says, okay, so you mean to say I should work but not for myself? And Krishna said, exactly. That's what I want to tell you, Arjuna. You should work but not for you. So Arjuna has a question again. If not for me, for whom then? I should work for whom? Would you like to help Arjuna with the answer, our dear audience? For whom Arjuna should work, if not for himself? For Krishna, for God. All right, thank you. For Parameshwara, that is Lord Shri Krishna. For him, he should work. So that's a point which has also been expressed before by the Lord. Coming back to the discussion between Krishna and Arjuna, Lord Krishna then says, Brahmani yadaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyete na sapapena padma patram ivambhasam. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Such a beautiful verse. Lord Krishna says, one who works in the spirit, that person is unaffected by sinful action, just like the lotus is not touched by water. Lotus is a very beautiful flower, but lotus is generally born in a dirty place. It's born in mud. Therefore, one of the names of lotus is Pankaja, born out of mud. Though it's born in mud in a filthy place, it itself is very beautiful and fragrant, which means the filth around the lotus is not capable of affecting the lotus. So Lord Krishna is telling, Arjuna, if you work in the spirit of Nishkama Karma Yoga, though there may be so much of dirt around you, and the activity you are engaging in may also not be very appreciated by people in general, like fighting and killing is not very appreciated activity, still you'll be like a lotus in the mud. That's what I want you to become like. The whole Mahabharata war was actually like a mud. And literally speaking, that battlefield had mud made up of the blood that had come out of the bodies of so many people who died, and their hands, chopped hands, legs, heads were floating in that blood, a bloody river that was flowing around. So it was a very horrible sight to see. Very dirty, stinking. It would even make someone vomit. Such a massacre happened on the battlefield. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that actually Arjuna, even in such a scene of massacre and cruelty, you can be like a lotus, untouched, unaffected. And that's what I want you to become. Let me ask you a quick question that how many people died in this battlefield of Kurukshetra in the Mahabharata war? Any guess, any idea? What was that number? This is a tough question, right? So, okay, let us give you the answer. Countless, no idea. Crores of people. So Mahabharata itself says what is a count. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he mentioned this value or this count. So in Mahabharata, 1,066 crore and 20,000 people died. That's huge, isn't it? 1.66 billion people that died. The current population of the whole country, India, is around 1.3 billion. So much more than that, people were finished in just 18 days. So you can imagine how ugly would be that whole scene of dead bodies lying around everywhere. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, in such a place also, you can become like a lotus. You can become like a lotus. So lesson here is the lotus and its leaf, though in the mud, stay unaffected by the mud. Similarly, even if there are only evils around, one should learn to remain and stay unaffected by them. That's what Krishna is teaching to Arjuna here. This is something so much for us. Our situation around us might not be very good. People may not be nice. Like these days, they tell toxic people around you. So people may not be very nice. The work that you are doing might not be very nice, not something very pleasant that you would like to do. But you are in a situation what to do. You have to do that to maintain your livelihood. But the teaching of Gita can help us to become like a lotus, even in those situations, muddy situations. So Arjuna is kind of understanding now the concept. So he's saying, okay, so you mean to say it's attachment and not action that causes bondage? And Krishna says, yes, you now understand it very correctly. Karma plus attachment leads to bondage. Karma minus attachment leads to mukti or liberation. So the problem is not with karma, Arjuna. The problem is not with you fighting this battle. The problem is with attachment. If you fight with attachment, you'll be considered sinful and you'll get punished. The law of karma will act on you. But if you fight without attachment, then you'll get liberation. Exactly the same destination what a sannyasi achieves you will also be able to get. So Arjuna's next question, very sensible question, is how to become detached. And Krishna is saying, by understanding that you are not the only doer. How? When I think I did it, it's all because of me, naturally I get attached to the results of my action. Because I did it, the result is mine. That's a natural psychology. So Krishna is explaining here three steps of psychological development. First is doership. I have done it. Now, when you strongly believe that you have done it and it's all because of you, then you also become the owner of the result of that action. I own it. It's mine. It's my property. It's for me. And then when you think you are the owner, comes the next mentality of I am the enjoyer. I should be enjoying it. It's mine, so I should enjoy it. I did it. I own it. I should enjoy it. So Krishna is saying that first of all, you try to understand Arjuna, you are not the only doer. There are other doers also involved in any action. Just to give you an example here, an explanation given in Bhagavad Gita is like this. For any action to be performed, there are three factors or three personalities involved. First is yourself, the soul, the Atma. But then there is super soul also, Paramatma, and there is also Prakriti or material nature, that's the world around you. Like for example, you want to do anything, you first of all develop a desire. I wish to do this thing or I want to do this thing. But just because you are desiring, it's not necessarily that thing will happen. We desire so many different things. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't get them. So that means there is a personality who sanctions, who gives permission, who allows. If he allows for that desire to be fulfilled, the desire gets fulfilled. If that person does not allow for the desire to be fulfilled, that desire doesn't get fulfilled. Simple. So that is the super soul. And after that super soul allows or gives permission, then there is another factor which is involved, which is Prakriti or material nature. She arranges for the fulfillment of that desire. If the nature does not provide, our desires will not get fulfilled, right? And that nature works under the dictation of the super soul, the supreme lord. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna, Arjuna, don't think yourself alone as the cause of your success or results. You should also know that whatever you achieve, you do that with the help of the super soul and the help of the Prakriti. Give them the credit. When you do that, you will be free from the mentality you have done it, and then you'll become detached. You'll not be attached anymore. Telling you a very interesting real story incident. This is about Muhammad Ali, the great boxing champion who ruled the boxing world for a long, long time. So when he was in his young age, definitely was very proud as he had become very famous. So he made a statement, I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was, means he was so proud. The same Muhammad Ali, when he grew old, he suffered from some severe diseases, like he was having speech slurring. Speech slurring means you are not able to speak clearly. When you speak, your tongue slips. So the words they don't come out distinctly. Either you eat up the words or you speak them too fast, so people cannot understand. So 26% of his speech was damaged, means he could not even talk properly. Then he had brain damage, and he also had Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease means some part of your body, they start shaking or shivering. You have no control over that. For 30 years, he suffered from Parkinson's. If you want, you just go to Google and search for Muhammad Ali Parkinson's, and you'll see videos of how his hands would shake, sometimes his leg would shake, sometimes his head would shake. So often he was invited to programs to, cut the ribbon, do some inauguration, and people had to literally support his hand to hold the Caesar and cut the ribbon. He became so dependent upon others. He could not lift his own cup of tea or coffee. For able to give the trophy to the winners, people had to catch hold of his hand and help him lift the trophy. He had become so weak. Once upon a time, he was a champion, boxing champion. Now he could not even raise his own hand. So after a couple of years, when his situation became so bad, a reporter came and interviewed him again and said, "Sir, do you remember when you were young, you had made a statement, 'I am the greatest.' What do you what do you think about it now?" Of course, that must be a very embarrassing moment for him. So Muhammad Ali said, "I am still the greatest." And the reporter was shocked. "Really? Are you serious?" And he says, "Yes, I am the greatest." Fool. He added the word fool to his statement. I am the greatest fool. So he admitted that actually it was a big mistake for him to think he is the greatest. All the strength he had in his arms, he had gotten it from the Supreme Lord. And he should have been thankful for that and should have given the credit of his success to God. That because of your help, I could win so many boxing matches. So that's what Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna here. Come out of that mentality that you are doing everything. That will help you to become detached. The lesson here is only in ignorance does a person begin to believe that whatever good has so happened because of him or her. And that is why he or she alone has the complete right over whatever result that has been achieved. Okay? So then Arjuna says, "But Krishna, is it wrong to think about being happy or looking for happiness? Everyone in this world is living to be happy. Everyone wants to enjoy. Is it wrong? I mean, if we give up this doership mentality and enjoyship mentality, how will we be happy? Then what will remain to be done in life?" So it is true. It's a plain truth that everyone is looking for happiness. You agree, isn't it? You go to Amazon, just search the word happiness in the bookstore, and you'll find more than 50,000 ebooks available on the topic of happiness. Different books are talking about different ways to be happy. So many of them. Some people are just writing this book so that they can become rich and then become happy. But anyway, there are so many people talking about it. There would be so many seminars, YouTube videos, and so much of material how to be happy. That's what people want. Aristotle, that's why once said, happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and the end of human existence. It is true. Like whatever we do, we are seeking happiness in it. This boy, I'm just giving you some examples. This boy is in a shopping mall choosing the best of the apples. He wants to buy them, take them home. For what? To be happy, giving it to someone or eat it himself. You can see on his face, he's happy picking those apples. This baby in sleep, smiling, happy about something, maybe a good dream, whatever. This girl, she gets a new bicycle. She's going to go for her first ride. Nice road, nice scenery, nice wind. She's going to enjoy her ride. So maybe she's happy about it. Family watching soccer game. Maybe their team is winning, so they're happy about it. First time or second time or maybe the 100th time, this person is doing a show, an open stadium show. Thousands of people are watching him, listening to him. He might be happy about it. This man sitting on a cliff, all alone by himself, looking at the rising sun, breathing, doing pranayama exercise. Happy about it, perhaps. He is happy eating salad. He is happy breathing fresh air. The mother is happy feeding the child. The child is happy being fed. She is in a church. She is praying and perhaps she is begging for more happiness. He's happy to serve tasty meals to people. There are a group of devotees happily chanting the holy names of Krishna, doing kirtan together. He is happy giving wisdom and knowledge to people around the globe. and they are drunk, they are happy, doing arm wrestling with each other. Perhaps he has made his country win a match, or he made his century, hit a 6 or a 4, and he's very happy. And she's happy sleeping on money. Different people look for happiness in different ways. Does Gita deny happiness? It doesn't. Is Lord Krishna denying happiness to Arjuna? He is not. But what he is trying to explain to Arjuna here and later in few verses is that it's not wrong to search for happiness. What is wrong is to search for it in the wrong place. The one who created the universe, God, can tell us where and how to find real happiness. That's what Gita is all about. I say this statement: Gita does not deny, or spirituality does not deny happiness. It just redefines it. It gives you a new definition of happiness, how to be happy. So Arjuna is saying, should I not look for enjoyment? And then Krishna says, of course you should, Arjuna, but then look for enjoyment not outside you. Look for enjoyment inside you, within you. How do you do that? If you want to be happy inside yourself, how do you do that? First step, tolerate the external temptations, the external stimulations. Tolerate them. Pause your life a bit. And then you have this tendency to be happy, to seek for pleasure. Instead of seeking it outside you, try to seek it in the self, in the Atma, in the knowledge of the self. May sound a little difficult now, right? It is true, because we are not discussing in detail how do you do that. We are just understanding what is Krishna's response to Arjuna. So Arjuna says, look within. What does that mean? Krishna says, you focus on the Supreme Lord who is sitting in your heart. And then he says, okay, if I do that, how will I do everything else? I have a busy life, so many responsibilities. People around me are my friends and relatives and enemies also. So how do I deal with the external world if I'm busy looking inside in my own heart and my consciousness? So Lord Krishna says, I'll teach you the way. Vidya vinay sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva shvakecha panditaha samadarshinaha. He says, for those who see in this manner, when they look outside, they also see in a different manner. How do they see? They see with a particular understanding, which we have already discussed before in Bhagavad Gita. So this is the way that person sees, a knowledgeable person. How does that person see? So please try to repeat these two statements. This is kind of a sutra, a formula that we can memorize and also make our vision similar to it. So the first thing is Krishna is telling Arjuna, when you look people around you, you should see them as souls. All are souls. And second, you should also see that in all of them is the super soul. So all are souls, in all is super soul. If you look around with that vision, anything you see, you'll see it connected to me, not disconnected from me. And that will help you to look for happiness or realize happiness inside yourself. That is actually self-realization. Self-realization does not mean to sit in a place, close your eyes, and then I'm self-realized now. No. Self-realization means, first of all, to know I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, and to be able to enjoy and experience that happiness inside yourself. That's called self-realization. You are happy with yourself, and that person enjoys unlimited happiness, actually. Unlimited, unbounded happiness. So then Arjuna says, that's a nice offer, Krishna, but the external pleasures which you're asking me to refrain from, they are so tempting, they are so attractive. Like if someone gives you a chocolate, of course you would like to have that chocolate, or ice cream in the summer season. So Arjuna is saying, when external happiness is around us, we are tempted towards it. How do you resist that temptation? And Krishna says, by understanding that such pleasures, they come and they immediately go also. They are short-lived, they are for short time, they are preya, they are not shreya. And they end up in misery, distress. Because when they go, they leave you, they leave you empty. You are kind of lost, and oh, I had it, I lost it. So Krishna then, when he mentions that, Arjuna said, but people get used to the external happiness, though it's not permanent. And Krishna said, yes, but if you are an intelligent person, you are a wise man or woman, you should not delight in them. You should not become used to them. Okay, that's fine. But even for one who knows this stuff, the temptation is very strong. The urge to enjoy is always there. And Krishna says, just tolerate that urge, Arjuna. Don't act on it. If temptation comes, fine, you accept it. But don't act on it. Stop yourself. And Arjuna says, till when do we have to do this exercise of stopping ourselves? So Lord Krishna says, lifelong, till you die. Which means it is a tussle which is going to be there with us for our whole life. That the mind will sometimes ask for things which are not good for us, and you have to tell no to your mind. And this will happen lifelong. You have to resist. You have to tell the mind, no, you are not going to get it. So Arjuna says, how is it possible that I can fight like this for my whole life? Will I not get frustrated of that fight? And Krishna says, yo antah sunkho antararamas. Possible for one who delights inwards. A perfect yogi. So he says, no, a yogi, a perfect yogi, he can definitely, overcome these temptations. For that, you have to be a yogi. And then Arjuna is saying, you want me to be a fighter, right? So now you're expecting me to behave like a yogi. How can a fighter behave like a yogi? A fighter will behave like a fighter. So you told me not to go to the forest. You told me not to take sannyas. You told me not to stop my work. You are asking me to fight. You are asking me to see the people as my friends and enemies. And at the same time, you are asking me to work in the spirit of a yogi. Is that again not contradicting statements, Krishna? And then Krishna says, come on, Arjuna, when I say yogi, I don't just mean an Ashtanga yogi. There are different kinds of yogis. There is Bhakti yogi, there is Karma yogi, there is Jnana yogi, there is Dhyana yogi. You are taking the meaning as Ashtanga yogi. But I am talking about the other yogis. They live in the society, they do their work, and at the same time, they are connected to the Supreme. They practice yoga. And they too also attain to liberation. Ashtanga yogi also attains to liberation. So that's where Lord Krishna stopped here. And then this topic, which was just introduced now about meditation and yoga, he will cover that in more depth in chapter number 6. The chapter is called Dhyana Yoga. Finally, the Lord ends this chapter by giving a very beautiful verse as a key for happiness and peace. And he says, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. He says, please understand these three things. What are they? First, I, means Krishna, is the supreme enjoyer. Second, why is he the supreme enjoyer? Because he's the supreme proprietor. Everything belongs to him. Third, though he's the supreme enjoyer and everything belongs to him, he's not selfish. He's not mean. He's very eager to share his happiness with others, as he's the best friend of all. So he's telling to Arjuna, if you understand this, and you understand that I'm your best friend, and my happiness is your happiness, my success is your success, everything that I own, I'm ready to share with you based on how much you deserve. You can be always happy and peaceful, isn't it? So this is the Sutra for Happiness or Peace that Lord Krishna mentions in this verse at the end of this chapter. And to understand it better, let me tell you a story. Let's say there's a girl, she's on a plane journey, she's flying, and she's sitting next to the window. There's a gentleman sitting next to her. This girl is around 9, 10 years old, and it's not her first flight. She has flown many times before. So while the flight is um, gliding towards its destination, suddenly there is a turbulent storm, and the flight is, shaking. People inside are panicked. What will happen next? In such a situation, the people get more panic when the air hostess comes and starts making all those announcements. Do not panic. Don't worry. Everything will be all right. In case if you have to make emergency landing, then you should know that the lights might get off, but then on the floor of the plane you'll see some lights indicating you to the exit. And in case of uh, air pressure and difficulty in breathing, the oxygen mask will fall down, so you can first put it on your nose, then you can help the next person. So they were going through all their blah 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 instructions, and people were getting more scared. What will happen? Will we survive? Will we die? Is this our final last flight forever? So this girl, she was still very, very peaceful and calm. So the gentleman sitting next to her noticed that. And after everything became normal, people were so relieved that we are safe. He turned around and asked this girl, small girl, Nancy, Nancy, may I ask you a question, please? She said, of course, yes. How come you were so peaceful when everyone around was screaming and shouting? They were so nervous. And you're just such a small girl. They are much more experienced than you in life. They have seen so much. And then she said, well, the pilot is my father. So I have faith that he will protect me. He is flying, he knows I am also in the same flight. So that understanding that my father is with me and he has control, that gives strength, that gives fearlessness to this girl. Similarly, Lord Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita here in this chapter, Arjuna, when you understand that I'm with you, I'm your best friend, and everything is in my control, it will make you peaceful. It will make you fearless. When you are fearless, you are peaceful. And that's how you can experience inner peace, peace inside you at all times, in all situations. So that's where this chapter ends. It's a small chapter. Let's open the floor for your questions now. This chapter is called Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Yoga of Detachment, and it spoke about inner peace. 5 lessons to take home. Trust is the key to patience. Arjuna and Krishna is having a dialogue. Arjuna asking lots of questions, repeating the same questions again and again. Krishna is answering again and again. They both are not frustrated with each other. Krishna is nowhere telling Arjuna, oh Arjuna, you are such a dumb fool. You don't understand what I am trying to explain. Neither is Arjuna, blasting on Krishna that Krishna, you are God. Why are you taking so much time to explain to me? Can't you make it more simple for me? They have trust on each other because they know that they both are working for the benefit of each other, or they are helping out each other. They are friends. So this trust factor is very important in any relationship. When you trust the other person, you will have patience towards that person. You will deal with lots of patience, understanding that that person has your interest in his mind or her mind, and that person also knows that you are that person's friend or well-wisher. So we understand this lesson from the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. Next, win over false pride. False pride means I am the cause of all of my success. Now, this is a very big enemy of people. Pride, the greatest enemy of all times. You have heard that saying, right? Pride cometh before fall. As soon as someone becomes proud, that person has already fallen from his position. So we should remember that anything we are able to achieve in life, we are not able to do it on our own. We have been helped, we have been supported by Lord Krishna, or by people around us, and we should give them the credit and not become proud that I did it. It's all because of me. Third, resist the temptation. There will be different kinds of temptations in life. For those who are young, temptation might be there towards good looking boy or good looking girl, or temptation might be there towards playing games, sports, buying expensive stuff, be a completely consumerist society member, that you just keep on buying stuff. So many different temptations might be there, internet, all that. So resist those temptations, because the more you give in to those temptations, Gita is teaching us, the more we become slave to them. So the key is you resist, you don't give in. And how you can become so strong that you can resist? Your happiness must come from a different real. The more you are spiritually happy, the more easier it is to resist material temptations, because you're not empty inside. You're already full with happiness of a different kind. So then you don't look for this other kind of happiness, which comes and doesn't stay for long, and then when it goes, makes you miserable. Fine. The fourth lesson is, Gita is teaching us there might be so many storms outside you, but you can be peaceful inside. Don't look for peace outside, because that will always not be there. And even if it's there, you may not be peaceful inside. So try to cultivate peace inside. And how do you do that? By living a life the way we are learning from Bhagavad Gita, right? And last, begin the journey within. Now, this is so important. People are so much stuck in the rat race. They're running for money, they're running for uh, relationships, they're running for fame, they're running for getting and accumulating lots of stuff, but they are not trying, or they are not exploring the journey which is to be taken inside ourselves, the journey within, which means try to understand who we are. And that person, the real self, is happy inside. So let's take to that journey, the journey inwards. Let's not wait for death to experience peace. Sometimes people, when they die, you must have seen it is written on their dead body. When it's buried, then they make a tomb or some structure in the cemetery, and it's written RIP, rest in peace. So let's not wait for death to end into peace. Let's now itself become peaceful. How do you do that? By following all that we've discussed so far in Bhagavad Gita, by taking this journey inside, right? Then you become peaceful inside. So let's begin that journey. With the other journeys we have made, we might have made so many journeys, gone to different cities, gone to different countries, journey by air, by land, by water, so many different places people travel, to the mountains, to the rivers. Let's also make this journey inside ourselves and try to understand much better who we are, what is life, why have we come to this world, what's reality, who is God, what's our relationship with Him. And that journey will make us more satisfied and happy and peaceful. All right. So we end the chapter here. Quickly, let's look at what we discussed in this chapter. Arjuna began with the question, sannyas or karma yoga? And Krishna said, karma yoga is as good as sannyas, but better and easier for you. Next, how Nishkam Karma Yoga should be performed was explained. Knowledge of three doers was given. And then Krishna finally said, liberation through meditation on Super Soul. That gives you supreme bliss and inner peace. Right? Okay. So can we have the questions now, please, on screen? First question coming from Meera. When you say the heart needs purification, what does this mean? Isn't the soul pure? Our heart is just an organ. So what are we referring to when we speak of the heart? Thank you. So when we say the heart, here heart doesn't refer to the physical organ heart. It refers to the subtle heart. There are two hearts. One is the physical organ. We'll talk about it more in other chapters of Gita. And there is the heart, which makes up your desires, your feelings, all that stuff. So we are talking about that heart, that antakarana. It's made up of your mind, your intelligence, your ego, and this is not what modern biology teaches us. This is what the Vedic scriptures teach us. So this is where your life is there, the life force is there. And that place is full of wrong kinds of desires. The soul is pure, but the mind is not pure. So that has to be purified. That's what we are trying to say here. Next question. Guruji, is family, nature, everyone, everything is material. Whatever is made of matter is material, if you see it that way. But if you see the presence of soul everywhere and the super soul everywhere, then everything also becomes spiritual. So it depends on how do you see. If I just see your body, then my vision is material. But if I see that within that body, there's also a soul, spirit soul, which is a part and parcel of the supreme soul, then my vision is spiritual. So it's a matter of your vision. As such, matter is material and everything made of matter is material. But matter is not alone, there is also the spirit. So people often or mostly they just see the matter, the external. They don't see the spirit, the soul. Here we are trying to change our vision and also look at spirit soul. Next question, thank you. Abhishek ji, I feel hard resisting temptations. How it can really work for us? It's hard for everyone. When you are doing something for first time, it's tough. If you practice doing it and you succeed, then next time it's easier. So it is difficult to resist temptations, but you can if you have developed other sources of enjoyment or you have found other sources of happiness. To give you an example, let's say someone is used to eating street food, which is not very healthy. Not all, that all street food are unhealthy, but I'm talking about a particular street food which is prepared in an unhealthy manner, unhygienic manner. But then a person is addicted to it, used to it, has been eating it for years. Now, how can that person give up that habit? Only if you provide that person much more delicious food, which is also very hygienic. So now he can or she can replace the unhygienic one with the hygienic one. Only because the hygienic one is more tasty, more delicious than the unhygienic one. And also some understanding has developed that this unhygienic food is causing me problem. It's deteriorating my health. Similarly, in order to resist material temptations, you need to develop spiritual happiness. If you are not doing that, you cannot resist material temptations. It's not possible. To give up bad habits, we have to cultivate good habits. We need to replace them. We can't just kill bad habits. Similarly, if you want to overcome material temptations, we cannot just kill them. We need to replace them with spiritual alternative sources of happiness. You have to find that for yourself. And then it will be easier to resist the temptations. All right, Abhishek, thank you. Next question, Mukund Yadav. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, how to make Krishna happy? By doing what Krishna is asking us to do in Bhagavad Gita. That's how you make anyone happy. By following the advice, the instructions given by that person. So when I do what Krishna is teaching us to do in Bhagavad Gita, when I live my life in that manner, I make Krishna happy. That's very natural, isn't it? Next, Lata. Does chanting, bhajan, etc. comes under akarma? Yes, definitely. When it is done in a devotional spirit or devotional attitude, it comes under akarma. It's done for the pleasure of Krishna. Next, Shashikala. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Why is Arjuna asking the same question in 3 chapters if he has to fight or give up, even when it was answered earlier? Good question. So Arjuna is asking it again and again because then he is able to get more clarification on that subject from Lord Krishna. When that clarification comes, it helps us, the readers of Bhagavad Gita, also to understand the subject much more. Here, Arjuna and Krishna are not speaking the message of Gita just for themselves. It's actually also for the greater humanity. So Arjuna is repeating the same question just to make the Lord shed more light on it, explain it in detail, so that the subject can be understood better by people other than Arjuna himself. Is it not helping us when we are understanding the same subject matter with different explanations? Our understanding gets better. So that was the purpose. Rajeshwari Rao. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. If you are not the doer or responsible for anything or instrument in hands of Krishna, then why this concept of karma? Nowhere it's mentioned you are not the doer at all. Neither did Krishna say so. Krishna said that don't think yourself to be the only doer. There's a difference, right? One thing is I am the only doer. The other thing is I have done nothing. And the third thing is I have done. I did play a role in it. But I am not the only one completely responsible for it. So now why law of karma? Because though I do things with others' help, but ultimately, because it's me who desired, the responsibility of that action will come on my head. But I cannot do it all by myself. Even for doing it, whether it's good or bad, I need help, I need support. So, therefore, it doesn't deny the law of karma. The law of karma exists. At the same time, I'm not the only person who is doing anything just by myself or, you know, on my own. I am taking help. And that's why I should be humble. I should not become proud. Next question. Seema ji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, how to deal with such people who say and think that God is not there? And what to answer them? Well, it depends on how adamant they are about their belief. Some people, they never change, they don't want to change. So even if you try to explain them with logical reasons why God exists, they will not accept it. There are so many ways one can try to explain to others that God exists. We'll be discussing about this topic also more in the coming chapters. But then some people never understand, so you just avoid them. Just let them be the way they are and pray for good days for them to come in their life. And then they can begin to understand this knowledge. Kurikshetra. It's a shorter chapter, but I enjoyed a lot and connected fully. My favorite chapter. Prabhuji, is Mukti equal to Golok Vrindavan? Please explain. First of all, let me request you, next time you write a question, don't write in full caps. It makes reading difficult. Write in normal English with small caps. So, is Mukti equal to Golok Vrindavan? For a devotee, yes. Otherwise, the word Mukti can also have different meanings. But for someone who wants to go to Godhead, Golok Vrindavan, Mukti means Golok Vrindavan. Fine. Do we have more questions? Yes, we have. Okay, Nidhi Hare Krishna Prabhuji. What are the characteristics of perfect yogi? Very good. Just wait for the next chapter. In chapter 6, it's explained by Lord Krishna. Next question. What is a true knowledge? How can we attain? Did you join this course today? Is this the first session that you're attending? Because we have discussed about knowledge before and we'll be also discussing it further. Knowledge means, Lord Krishna says, to know three things completely: yourself, the Supreme Lord, and the world around you. If you know that fully, as is explained in Bhagavad Gita, you are a knowledgeable person. Please do you explain Shruti and Smriti? We already did that before. Shruti are those scriptures which are spoken personally by the Supreme Lord. Smriti are those scriptures which are presented by the sages, remembering the instructions given by the Supreme Lord. So they are explained with some examples. They are not different from the instructions of God, but just presented in a different manner. Rohit Khandalwaj. What is the difference between Sankhya Yoga and Jnana Yoga? Sankhya Yoga is the yoga of analysis, understanding the difference between matter and matter, matter and spirit. Jnana Yoga and Sankhya Yoga, in that sense, is very similar. However, in Jnana Yoga, just the degree of advancement of the person practicing is higher. So then there are other elements that also come inside, which means a Jnana yogi begins to understand the presence of a superior power, uh, perhaps thinking that to be an impersonal Brahma Jyoti or light. So in that way, the Jnana yogi, you can say, is an advanced version of a Sankhya yogi. Fine. I think that should be sufficient for now to understand the difference. Abhishek Kumar, I feel hard resisting temptations. How can really practically work for it? I already explained that to you. I gave you the answer. You have to look for good habits to replace the bad habits. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to resist the temptations. Okay, do we have some more questions? Yes, we have. How to surrender to Krishna to get rid of all sins and get help from Krishna? To surrender doesn't mean that, we just believe that I'm surrendering. To surrender means you follow what you are being asked to follow. You follow the instructions. Krishna is giving us so many instructions in Bhagavad Gita. So our first step should be to live our life as per those instructions. That's the first step of surrender. Now, when you do that, then you automatically get rid of sins and you get more help from Lord Krishna. So please study Bhagavad Gita nicely. Whatever you're understanding in these sessions, try to apply in your life. And then you will see the result coming from that. How to meditate, any steps or any tips, sorry. Yes, so many. Wait for next chapter. That's all about meditation. Dhyana Yoga, chapter 6. Krishna will give us so many tips how to meditate. Next question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, how to not have attachments about certain relationships? It's about anything, whether relationship, whether things. To not be attached means you have to come out of that mentality that you own it. It's yours. Let's say you are into a relationship. A person has come to your life. So when does that attachment increase? When you think that that person is yours or you own that person. It's very much present there, if not vocally expressed, but subtly one feels so, right? That this person belongs to me. So how do you give up that attachment? By understanding that before that person belongs to you and you have any right over that person belongs to God. Much more than that person belongs to you, because God has created that person. And that person has a relationship with God as much as that person has a relationship with you. So bringing that God factor in and understanding everything belongs to Him, you can reduce the attachment you have towards people, towards things. This is not unhealthy, this is very healthy mentality. Because when you are attached, then you also become sometimes obsessed and exploitative in nature. But when you know it belongs to someone else, then you are much more careful in dealing with those things or with those people. You are much more nice, actually. So I hope that will help. Next question. Since you have read Bhagavad Gita multiple times, can you please share your practical experience, how it has helped you if possible? It has helped me how? Practically. Well, in so many ways. I started reading Bhagavad Gita in 2008. That's when I came across this process of Krishna consciousness. And since so many years, I've read Gita, taught Bhagavad Gita. So many changes have happened in my own personality, in my way of looking at life, in my expectations from life, in my defining and measuring success, defining happiness, experiencing happiness. So Gita helps you overall, and it also helps you in a very subtle manner. You may not see a dynamic and drastic change in just a day, but over a period of time, you can understand that it has changed you from inside. Change, which is organic and natural, it takes time, because it is a complete change, right? It's not overnight shift. So you may not see that change immediately, but then over a period of time you can find that the weaknesses you had before, your own wrong thinking, the way you judged people, behave with them, it changes. You become more satisfied in life, more reasonable and sensitive. You start respecting people more, respecting what you have more. You are more grateful. And then this all combines you to be a more happy person, more satisfied, right? So it helps in every step of your life to make your decisions better, to enter into relationships with a better attitude, to do whatever you do with the right mindset, right? So it's not just about, okay, on a certain day I suddenly opened Bhagavad Gita, I was having a tough question and Gita gave me the answer. Not that. Gita, if you accept it seriously, it will be helping you in every moment of your life, which makes every moment of your life special, worthy to live and learn from it and make your life better from it. Right? Next question. How do you, how to sufficient, how do you, um, okay, how to chant 16 rounds properly? That's what I think you're asking. And how to focus on Harinam. All right, it's a off-topic question, but let's take it because we have time. So, how to chant 16 rounds properly? Proper chanting means chanting which is clear, which you can hear very nicely. Chanting at a proper speed, not too fast, not too slow, and chanting with a peaceful mind. That's proper chanting, attentively. So, how do you do that? Take a good rest at night. In the morning, when you get up, take a shower. The mind is fresh now. You don't have all the anxiety of the day because the day is not yet begun. And then, in that peaceful mind, you sit and chant the names of Krishna. That's the best way to chant it nicely. If you can chant with others who are chanting, that is also very good. You can go to a temple, to a place where devotees congregate to chant. You can join online chanting sessions. There are so many ways to do it. And but the principle is you chant peacefully, happily, understanding that this chanting is good for you. It makes you spiritually healthy, and you should enjoy doing it. That it's a very, very beneficial spiritual activity. Next question, Dr. Usha Parekh. As I'm not the doer for good things and success, what about the bad things? Who's the doer? Again, don't try to, you know, get out of the responsibility or accountability factor. When we say that you're not the doer, it doesn't mean that you had no role to play at all. So for good things also, you have to think that you have not done it by yourself. There are factors which helped you. And when you become a self-realized person, or when you see with this knowledge, then even when bad things are done by you, then how do you understand? In that situation, you understand that perhaps in the past you had done some wrong activity, you had some karma, which has come to you again in your life. And that karma has actually forced you to act in a wrong manner. Now, that doesn't mean that when you'll be punished for that wrong activity, you'll not accept that punishment. You will definitely accept that punishment also. But you'll not become so dejected that you'll start blaming God, you'll start blaming people around you. You'll basically take the responsibility of it and understand it's your own past which has put you in such a situation and made you engage in a wrong action. And now, because that wrong action has given you a reaction, a suffering, accept it peacefully. No need to fight against it. Accept it, understanding that it's your own action which has produced that kind of karma. Now, when you do that, you don't have to do it for a long period of time. When you have developed that kind of vision, now every single reaction you face, whether good or bad, that is purifying you from your past karma, and you are completely stopping the cycle of karma, which means you're becoming free from the cycle of actions and reactions. And one day you're totally free from it. Means your baggage of karma is clear then, all clear. Then whatever you do, whether good or bad, nothing will be able to touch you, the reaction of it. Okay, last question, then we stop. Interpretation of Gita is different as per Advaita philosophy compared to ISKCON. Can talk a little if we have time. Yes, there are different people who will interpret Bhagavad Gita differently. But then, why should we accept the interpretation which is not in line with the explanation given by Lord Krishna? There are many ways we understand that Lord Krishna is a person, and he is giving a very specific message in Bhagavad Gita. So, any presentation of Bhagavad Gita which is completely in adherence to that message, that is the perfect interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, or perfect explanation of Bhagavad Gita. That's what we should accept. If people just juggle up words and then they say Krishna wants to say so, Krishna is actually doing that, then that's wrong. Krishna is making it very clear in Bhagavad Gita. He's telling Arjuna very clearly, you work for me. He's not saying, you work for someone, imagine someone, imagine a God. He's saying you work for me. In Bhagavad Gita, he's very emphatically telling in many places, I am that Supreme Lord. Mataha parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate. So many places. So Krishna is making it very clear, and Krishna is telling Gita, surrender to me. Actually, we'll discuss this more in chapter 12. Arjuna asks very clearly to Lord Krishna. There is a path of impersonalism, which the Advaita Vadis talk about, and there is a path of personalism. And he asks Krishna, which is better? Now, what more stronger evidence does anyone want? It's given in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 12, in the first few verses. Arjuna asking about it. What? There is the path of Advaita Vad, impersonalism, and then there's a path of personalism. Who is better? And Krishna says, the personalists are much more better. So, those who are on the Advaita path, they should be very clear that Lord Krishna is expressing everything in a crystal clear manner. What is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita? No need to play around with the words, no need to jumble up some new meaning out of it, no need to give your own, timid interpretation of it. Accept the message the way it has been presented, the way Lord Krishna is addressing it to Arjuna. Krishna is God, He is a personality, and He's asking us to live a life in order to please Him. That's not a dictator mentality that He's expressing here. He's asking that to us because if we please Him, we will ourselves be very, very happy, because we'll be following the laws made by Him for everyone in this world. So that's what we discuss about in Bhagavad Gita as it is, as presented in ISKCON. All right. And it's not an ISKCON's creation. The audience should know that ISKCON is not a new organization. ISKCON belongs to a very bona fide old parampara, which is thousands of years old, right, coming right from Brahmaji. So this knowledge is not something new that ISKCON is giving to society. This is the original knowledge that Lord Krishna gave to the first created being, Brahma. And from Brahma, it came down to many other personalities, and then it's coming down to us. So it is the original knowledge, the real knowledge, coming in the right parampara from age-old times, right from Lord Krishna to Brahma to all of us. So it's not that this is just another interpretation. This is the correct interpretation. Yes, I can say that emphatically. This is the correct interpretation. And the result of that is seen in the lives of people, that millions of people all over the world, they have read Bhagavad Gita as it is, presented by ISKCON society, and it has tremendously changed their lives. They have actually become very good devotees of Krishna. So it's possible only because that knowledge is true. All right. So shall we stop here? Okay, last question. Meera, how do we deal with a purification while going through our karma? It's a new journey. How to stay strong? Very good. I'm happy you're asking this question. How to stay strong? To stay strong, stay connected. Spend time in association with devotees. You can be connected online. You can find some ISKCON center around you and meet the devotees there and be connected to them, make friends with devotees. And through that friendship, borrow the strength, right? If you have to make a journey all by yourself, it's tough. But if you make the same journey with others, it becomes much easier. So find that association and stay in that association. It will help. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week ahead. I enjoyed spending my weekend with you. We'll meet you again next week on Friday, 6 p.m., and we'll start chapter number 6, which is about meditation, dhyana yoga. Hare Krishna. Thank you so very much.